Thank you for joining me. And as always, thank you for listening and supporting Should Have Listened to My Mother. We're working our way through our 6th season, and we couldn't have done it without your support. So thank you very, very much. And lucky me, I get to talk to all of my guests about their mother or the female role models in their life and how they shaped who they are today. And it's wonderful seeing my guests passing information and lessons learned down to their children as well. So it's really been a remarkable journey. So thank you. This is going to be really interesting because we have lots of things in common, what we share in our podcast. But joining me this week is Dr. Gertrude Lyons. She holds a doctorate in education and 2 masters, one in transformational leadership and coaching and another in psychology. Dr. Lyons is the host of the podcast, Rewrite the Mother Code, and she's also written her first book by the same name. And you can see her Rewrite the Mother Code at TEDx Ojai Talk online as well. At the heart of Dr. Lyons' work is a deep commitment towards seeing every human understand, realize, and own their inherent value and live the life they've always dreamed of, and so much more. Hi, Gertrude, and welcome to Should Have Listened to My Mother.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for having me. This is a blessing and honor.
Before we start getting into talking about your mom, Dorothy, there are a bunch of topics, and I don't know if we'll get to all of them,
Okay.
but your podcast is really great because you never know who you're going to, right? I don't know who your guests are and if there's any particular order or how we find our guests, right? Serendipity is often on my shoulder.
Yes.
But healing by reparenting and mothering ourselves. Mothering ourselves, I think, is a very important message for you. Identifying what affected us during our childhood, changing society's view of what it means to mother. All women mother, not just women who have birthed babies. And there's so much more. So, as I mentioned, your mom is Dorothy, and I believe she's still with us, almost centenarian.
She is. She's still with us, and she turned 95 in April of this year. So
That's pretty
not
great.
quite 95 and a half. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
And how many in your family? How many siblings do you have?
I have one older brother. He's 2 years older.
So maybe I should start with this question. Is it because of your childhood that you went into all the wonderful fields that you did in spite of your mother, or because of your mother, or both?
Yeah, it really is a both and, isn't it? I feel like it is, right?
For
And
most
depending
people,
on
yeah.
when you've captured me along my
Journey.
lifespan and growth and development, I would have definitely said at times like, well, in spite of, and I would have said that with a tone and a charge, that
As our kids have.
yes,
As our children
exactly.
have perfectly represented in their life.
But even through that, Jackie, I would say something that I really grabbed onto when I first started doing my own, growth work, self-awareness, which of course a big part of it, well, shouldn't say of course, for me, a big part of that was a lot of healing and work and reflection on my relationship with my mother. And I went through a blame phase and I went through it's all your fault. Everything that's, I struggle with is your fault. I believe I chose her for my soul's development. So, I think that answers the question a little bit with a different kind of nuance, right? Like I, I choose to believe that. I can't prove it. I don't know, but I like thinking, my soul had reasoning and she was the perfect mother for me. And, there was a lot that I would, had a lot of pain and criticism and feelings about. So, but it always helped me along the way to take that responsibility. Like, nope, we're together for a reason. And
it
I
often
chose
turns out that way, for better
right?
or for worse. I think so, because it makes us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And over the years of speaking to so many of my guests, some have had a really rough road, and yet they've changed their lives around because of the lessons that they had to face as a young child. I mean, it's shocking that people could still put one foot in front of the other in some
isn't it?
instances. Yeah, I'm so lucky. I'm so blessed.
Hmm.
So what was what was your little bit some inner stories or details, wonderful memories that you have of being with your mom as a child?
Yeah, I would say some the more immediate, positive, wonderful memories revolved around her owning and operating a children's clothing store
Oh,
in
fun.
my small town in Michigan. Right. So prior to that, or, seeing my mom, doing something that she loved, but also having a place to go and be with her that wasn't our home environment. I got to see her in a different context, but she also shared how to run a store. There was something just about it. It wasn't, maybe think it was kind of benign or not something, oh, that was so special. But to me, it was really special to have that opportunity to, one, see a place where she was a role model for me, a businesswoman, so to speak, and creative and all these things that she never talked about or you wouldn't know about her, but I could see her in action. And then,
That's great.
to have that space together was really, really sweet.
Did she complete higher education or what was her childhood
No,
experience like?
that's the thing. So she was the oldest of two, born in 1930. She had a younger brother, and the boy, it was a very
Mhm.
typical masculine
Sure.
dominated, culture. He got educated. He became, went to law school. My mom did a year or two. I don't think she even completed her associate's degree. No one pushed her, no one encouraged
Yeah.
her. She, definitely as I got to know her, really, she comes off as someone who acts like they know everything and she's always right and she's, Miss Expert, but has also a pretty low self-esteem, that and doesn't, didn't think she was any of the things that I saw her as far as she tells me now, she's like, my best friend like told me, not that long ago, sometime within the last 5 years, that I was really pretty. And why didn't I know that as a young woman, or a girl? And
Oh,
she's like, why didn't I feel that way? Why didn't I know that? So
no one
things like
told her.
that. Yeah, no one
She
told
never
her.
got that right. Not that beauty is everything. I
No.
mean, had she always been told she was a bookworm and brilliant and she'll, well, they didn't even really say you're going to go places, right? If you were into science or anything,
Mm-mm.
engineering, designing clothing. But if her brother got all the attention, then I can understand it.
Hmm. I think they just definitely expected her to get married
Have a
and have
family.
children, which she ended up doing for that generation quite later in life. She didn't marry my father until she was 30, I think is when she,
Wow,
had so
that's really
that
interesting. Yeah.
all of her friends had 10-year-old children by then, like they weren't.
So what was she doing? Was she working? Was she in the
She was
school? No, she
working.
didn't do higher.
Yeah, no, she worked in at for the railroad in Detroit. So she worked for the railroad in I guess you would call it secretarial, so to speak.
Mhm,
I don't know that that was her official title, secretary.
mhm.
Um, but it wasn't something that she was passionate about, but that's what she
That's pretty
did.
great until
It
30
is,
years old.
yeah. Her 20s were so something to share about my mom that gives you a little insight of why in her 20s she may not I share a lot about this in my book, so I'm not
Don't give
revealing and
too much
exposing.
away.
I don't want to give too much away, because she gave me permission to share what's a lot of very vulnerable experiences, very traumatic experiences in her 20s, uh, ending with, and this is I think one of the least traumatic. She was engaged to be married in her late 20s, invitations out, wedding dress bought, and her fiance she walked into his place at the time, and he had dropped dead of a heart attack on the kitchen floor. So,
Wow.
that kind of gives you a sense of, she also will want to, this is a quote, a couple quotes that really stick out, but one definitely came at this time, which was, if drugs were available when I was in my 20s, I'd probably be dead.
Mhm.
So she was an active alcoholic until my dad, after my brother was born. He was a year old, I think, around maybe a little more than a year old. My father, oh, weird slip. My father gave my mom, which she's immensely grateful for, the ultimatum that she either stop drinking or he's leaving, because he said, I can put up with a lot, but I can't put up with a drunk. And she quit that day, never drank again.
How long were they
So,
married?
yes. And they were
Uh,
they were married 25 years. They got divorced 25 years, yeah. 25, yeah.
Something more or less.
Something like that, maybe 27, because I was 25 when they got divorced, and so about 27 years, I think.
Does she is she appreciative that he did that? That she changed her life?
Hugely.
Mm.
She said it was probably one of the nicest,
Gifts.
something that, besides providing a family, allowing a space for her to have children, because they didn't have a close relationship. They were not anything remotely like a model of a couple that I would aspire to be. They
Mm.
just kind of lived their separate lives. They weren't contentious. It wasn't, like a real mess. They just, you know,
Did their own thing.
did their own thing.
That's very
Yeah. He,
progressive too for
yeah,
back then, right?
my dad worked and provided. She, like I said, had the children's clothing store, another, thing that I think got wired into me that was really interesting. So she had that, and I really admired it. But then I'd hear my dad say, yeah, but I don't want you to make a lot of money doing that. I really don't want you to turn a profit. It's fine to have as a hobby, because then we'll have to pay taxes.
Oh my
So
gosh.
this is the kind of mentality, right? So it's okay for a woman to
And
like
she
play
said,
and have
okay, I
fun.
get it.
And she's, of course,
Yes,
she's
she,
like, this was an outlet for her.
oh
But it didn't allow her to really, have a space or encourage to thrive and grow and that.
believe in
But she had
herself,
fun and believe in herself,
really
right?
believe in herself that she could make more money than your father. If she,
Right. So
wow.
this is something I work on. It's, one of the traits that got passed down for sure, that I have worked
That's
on for myself.
that's a great lesson, bunch of life lessons right there.
Hmm.
Well, for me, I mean, I didn't get married till I was 36. So I say that we have two boys, and I always say, and my husband as well, you have to know who you are first. In my mind, you have to really know who
Hmm.
you are and what you want in life.
Yeah.
And that, again, that worked for the two of us. But I think that's very important. And that's one of the lessons that, we've talked over and over again with our boys. You have to know
Mm.
who you are and what's important to you, and what's in sync between the relationship. I think that's
I
important.
totally
But
agree.
how many women didn't have supportive husbands and groups of friends like we do now? I mean, we can reach
Yeah.
out to friends all over the world in a minute, and moms didn't have that support. And I think
Mm-mm.
that was a detriment to their inner peace.
Mm.
Now, I mean,
I
if
do
they had
too.
family, right? If they had family, if they had siblings, that's one thing. But even the communication was completely different then. We're so much more open and aware now. It's pretty good. Hmm.
Yeah. For her to
Wow.
share the things that she shared with me about everything that went down in her 20s was breaking so many taboos. What to reveal herself and share things that she hadn't even, told anyone beyond her parents. Not even her
Yeah.
best friend supposedly knew. And I don't mind sharing one of them, because you can hear more about it in my book.
Which
But
you narrated. You
which I
narrated the book yourself.
narrate,
Yeah.
yes, I do. she had a baby. She got pregnant twice in her 20s. One pregnancy was terminated, and that's not something you did in the 50s. And the other was she gave up a baby for adoption. And to be to hold a secret like that your whole life and not share or talk or be so ashamed of, because when she shared about she got whisked away, to a home for unwed mothers, to have the baby, but she said it was one of the most beautiful times of her life. Like she said,
Oh,
just being away, being with the sisters that ran it was actually a really positive experience for her.
wow, that's a
And
lot.
it
That's a
was a
lot,
lot.
though, all by
It-
yourself, not even having your mother there. Did her mother visit her or they
you know
ostracized
what?
her?
That's a really good question. No, they were very, I'm going to say supportive from the
Mhm.
standpoint of it wasn't, oh my gosh, we're so ashamed of you. That's just what you did then, right?
Right.
I don't think, but I'm gonna. That's a really good question, Jackie. That's something I'm gonna ask her, uh, and say a little bit more about that, because it was my understanding that while yes, they went that they helped make this happen. I don't think they were awfully critical of her, but
Wow, that's huge in and of
yeah.
itself. Wow. So I
So there
can
was a
only
lot.
imagine why you have a PhD, a doctorate in doing
Right.
master's
Why I
program.
feel strongly that healing, I know now, Bethany Webster refers to it as, the mother wound, has written a lot on that. And our mother healing is, and I think it goes very deep and it's generational. It took me, years of doing this work to realize it's not just her. It's the women that came before her and the shoulders she was standing on, and how so much was passed down generationally. That yes, I had direct contact with her and the experience with her, but there was, you know,
So many didn't. Immigrants, just they came with the young couple, if or they got
yep.
married here. They had no real family sometimes to lean
Hmm.
on. If you think about answer this question for me or finish this question, this is about your mom. This is a story of a woman who
Who not only survived but thrived. This is a woman who I almost said, in spite of some pretty awful circumstances, created a beautiful life for herself.
does she believe in angels and guardians, or
She
is she a
does.
spiritual? So did
Yeah,
that help her?
that's
Because some people don't, and I don't know what I would do without my angels and guardians and my spirituality.
no, she definitely does. And that's something I've enjoyed
That journey
connecting
of
with her on,
mm,
is that spirit side of her.
mm,
She raised us Catholic. My dad was atheist, and she said, they made an agreement that he would stay out of it, and she, could was able to raise us Catholic. So for a long time, it was just, oh, the kind of the rote Catholic thing, right? This is what you do. It wasn't, there weren't real spiritual conversations. It wasn't until, so I learned all the prayers. We did the things. Um, we said
confession,
rosaries,
communion. You said rosaries. What did we?
yes, yes. And it's not about her, but I can, maybe if there's time, after I say this, I just wanted to share about my grandpa and rosaries, because there's something really special about that. But it wasn't until we were adults that we actually started talking about, what we believe in, or what, our relationship with angels and spirits. And I think she has, an empathy. I think we all are psychics. I think we all can connect with the divine
Sure.
angels or whatever, should we choose to. And it's something I wish I had been more in relationship with her about to have her develop, beyond the atmosphere of just the Catholic Church. We went to Lourdes together when our children were just 3 and 5, and that was a really special experience to be with
To
her,
share that with her,
to
yeah.
share that experience with her. Yeah.
And you know what you can do? You can lead our children there. And if they decide that it's something that they want to be a part of their life, then you did your job, not amidst confines of any organized religion, or perhaps if they want to just the ethereal things, those mystical things. But I think
Mm-hmm.
it's important to have something in our life, something that we believe in, that you can talk to this person and
Yeah.
you may not get a direct response from the spirits or the heavens, but you at least I use it all the time. It's pretty great.
I do too. I know this is about mothers, but so just that juxtaposition
Yeah.
of my mom, raising us in a religious environment, my dad being so the exact
The
opposite, so to
opposite, yeah.
speak,
Mhm.
that religion is the opiate of the people kind of space, right? But when they got divorced, it actually opened up a space in relationship with him where he gave me a couple books. One of them was Ru, the Rubaiyat. Am I saying that right? Oh my gosh. Omar Sharif. Anyway, I read this book, and it's this beautiful Persian poem, and it's so spiritual, right? Um, my dad had Alzheimer's dementia the last 10 years of his life. And so we have these little arguments about, is there an afterlife? Is there not? And he would I'd always end it with, well, I guess neither of us can prove it. It's what we're choosing to believe. And one of my, you know, Mr. I don't believe in anything, that the night he passed, I had a dream that night, those dreams that feel like dreams, but
Yes,
they're so real.
do.
And he came in my dream, and he's like, Gertrude, you were right. There is a heaven. I know, I get goosebumps every
It's
time.
pretty good. That's pretty special.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, so I think it's really interesting. It's it's helpful, if you, even if you just believe in anything, even the poetry, the beautiful poetry, there is beauty in
Mm-hmm.
this world. There is another world out there. And if
Yeah.
we weren't, if one was not exposed to that or turned on to it, there are ways to find it, especially in books, especially in
Yeah.
books.
Here,
Speaking
here.
of which, your book, Rewrite the Mother Code. How many different titles did you have before you came upon that one?
So it
Many
was
or?
that's such an interesting question, Jackie, because I had the podcast Rewrite the Mother Code. I trademarked Rewrite the Mother Code. It was like the brand's platform, but I wasn't sure for the longest time, should that be the title of the book, right?
Mhm.
And I wrote the book, and throughout writing the book with my publisher, Kristen McGinnis, we'd every now and then brainstorm on titles. I'd talk to people. We knew that Rewrite the Mother Code was going to be in it somewhere, but would it be the title? Would it be the subtitle?
Mhm.
And I'd come up with something, and like, I think this is it. She's like, nope, that's not going to work. And I'm like, why? And she's like, for this, and this reason. I'm like, oh, really? Okay, okay, okay. And then, as it got closer, I became more and more clear. No, the title has to be Rewrite the Mother Code. And then it became, what's the subtitle?
Oh,
And we went through so many iterations of the subtitle. And the subtitle
it's so
is,
much work.
yeah, From Sacrifice to Stardust, A Cosmic Approach to Motherhood. And,
Pretty great.
you know, that was pretty out there for me. And even
Yeah, for
though
a lot of
I
people.
cert I certainly write about it, and so this is when my publisher had to have, we got to it, it felt good and felt right. Then I got very, oh my gosh, I don't know, that's too much. I'm going to turn some
Are
people
people going to
off. They're going
be,
to see
yeah,
cosmic and da, da, da. And this is times I've loved my publisher, because she said, well, Gertrude, if you're not willing to put it in the title, then don't write a book about it.
Isn't
So
that
I'm
clear as
like,
a bell?
okay. That was some good
But
mothering there, right?
we have so much going on in our brain, especially as podcast hosts, right? There's so much. Am I doing this for this person or that group of people,
Yes.
or who's going to like this? Am I going to turn anybody off? And then it's just like, this is what makes the world go round. We are all
Yeah.
different. We are a beautiful melting pot, and not only
Mm-hmm.
America, but the world. And it's so important for people to hear these stories. I think it's
Thank you.
just really important.
I do
So
too.
thank you. That's
Yeah.
really wonderful. And I have all of your, excuse me, your website is Dr. Gertrude Lyons, and Lyons is spelled Lyons,
Mm-hmm.
drgertrudelyons.com. And you are on LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram is Dr. Gertrude Lyons, and LinkedIn it's Dr. Gertrude Lyons.
Yeah, try to stay consistent with that.
That's good. And you didn't have to put your whole title, book title in there either, which is
No.
so easy. And
Yeah.
you're also on YouTube and all that kind of good stuff. So it's nice and easy to find you. And this will all be in my show notes too.
Wonderful.
So there's one interesting topic that stuck out at me, and we just have a couple of minutes left, but it was about, are we parenting reactively? Are we parenting based on the way we were raised? And how do you
Yes.
find a happy medium?
Yeah, I think just bringing that question to the table helps us sort that out, right?
Yeah.
I think anytime we find ourselves saying something, I don't like this about, I didn't like that my mother never drove me to school or to my activities, so I'm going to do that, right? When we see ourselves saying, I'm going to not do what my parents or my mother did, then we're parenting reactively, right? But we haven't dealt with any of that for ourselves, right? When we do that, we haven't, well, what's the value? What desire did I have to have my mom pick me up or take me places? Maybe it was because I wanted to connect or I wanted some alone time with her. Well, there's lots of ways I can create that isn't I'm going to take my child to school every day, right?
No matter
So
what. It's
no matter what.
obviously harboring something inside that's lifelong. And
Yes.
for you to come out, I'm going to do this because she didn't, or I'm going to do this because she, couldn't, or whatever it is, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something that they long for as a child.
Yeah. Really
And how do you
knowing
find a
that you
happy
can make,
medium?
right. Knowing that you can make choices, right? And
Yes.
that's where doing that work around, well, what, what are my desires? What are my values? What are my principles? And then we make our parenting decisions, our own mothering decisions from that place. I think helps bring us, to a happy medium with it, and something that we can own for ourselves, something that then is meaningful to us and personal. And it gives us we have to take more responsibility, because if we're claiming that, that means I have to live up to that. I can't then blame my mother for it, or,
There's that. There's no one to blame.
I know. If I've decided the standard I want to live to, then there's no one to blame but me. Yeah.
So not that I don't want to end on that note, but I want people to understand that blame doesn't help anybody, your
No,
children or yourself, right? Oh my gosh.
never.
Dr. Gertrude Lyons, what a treat. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm really glad we got to do this.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Me too.
And we'll be back next week with another episode of Should Have Listened to My Mother.